Item 4.1 is a 2021 update on the Richard I. Bong Veterans Historical Center by Executive Director Dustin Heckman.
Director Heckman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and councilors. Appreciate being here this evening. My name is Dustin Heckman. I'm the Executive Director of the Richard I. Bong Veterans Historical Center. With me tonight, I also have my chair, Terry Lundberg, and Vice Chair of the Board, Tim Sauter. So we're happy to be here and talk about what we've been doing at the Bong Center and fill you in a little bit about, what we've been doing and answer any questions that we possibly could have for you. So one of the things that I wanted to just help you out with is, for those of you that maybe don't know much about the Bong Center, what is the actual Bong Center? And obviously we have our very beautiful artifact there, the P-38 Marge, replica of Major Bong's plane. So we started with the Bong Center in 2002, September 24th exactly, which marks a very special date for us, and that is Major Bong's birthday. So we opened the doors on that day after many long years of fundraising to open our organization, and one of the biggest things as part of that was the restoration of the P-38 to be there. For those of you that don't know who Major Bong was, he was a World War II fighter ace who flew in the South Pacific, flew P-38s, and is known as America's Ace of Aces. To become an ace, you had to have 5 enemy combat victories. He had 40. That's a record that will stand today. And so we are founded on his legacy, and what we do is collect and preserve the stories of all veterans from World War II to the present. A few years ago, the board made an important choice to include veterans of modern era going forward, because we started to hear from other veterans, when will my story be told? When are you going to see mine alongside the World War II heroes that we've all heard about? So that is where we built out our mission and now live that out every day. So the way we do this is through multiple different areas, and I'll go through a few of these right away. So with exhibits. So obviously we have to have something for visitors to come see, learn about, and understand. So we have many different permanent exhibits, one on Major Bong himself, another on the home front area, and this past March we opened up a new exhibit on Korea and Vietnam. This was the first one of coming out and talking about those veterans' stories. One aspect of this also is we were able to talk about in the Korea section some of our local veterans that were missing in action in Korea and had been recovered through recovery efforts for many years and brought back to Wisconsin and laid to rest. We were able to tell that story of the families going through that process of finding their missing soldier and bringing them back home. And in the Vietnam exhibit, we feature many different stories from veterans, including one veteran who had never shared their Vietnam story previously. We were able to connect with them, and this was the first time they had told their story and their family had ever heard their story. And so they gave us a very short clip on that, and I'm proud to say since then we've been able to collect their full oral history now and include it in our collection. So that's been a big part of what we've been able to do there. And also, just not permanent exhibit changes, we also have changed around some temporary exhibits. So we have different spots around the museum that we can open up and put in smaller exhibits. Like in the little picture you see there is actually from our trench art exhibit. So this includes artifacts that soldiers had actually made in the battlefield with them. We have like a coconut monkey. We have some different light lamps and things that were made out of bullets and shells. So these are things that soldiers could do, and that was actually one drawing that one of the soldiers made while they were in a combat area. We also bring the community in through events. So some of our bigger events, the Escape the Bong event, which is essentially folks can come in and go into an escape room and see how fast they can get out. They've got an hour to get out. I would say we have a success rate of probably about 98%. So that is good. We never let them know that they're going to permanently be locked in there. I don't think that would go over well. Then we also have the Stuffy Boot Camp we did last year, and we actually held that the weekend right before we closed down for 2.5 months due to COVID. So that was an opportunity where kids could bring in, and some adults did also bring in their stuffed animals and go through a boot camp during the night. So they had to perform different duties, such as being a paratrooper and different things like that. So it's a great family event. And then we also have our 4th of July signature event with Teddy Roosevelt. This year we featured Teddy Roosevelt and General Patton together and was very successful in bringing that back. With tours, you can see by our attendance, 2020 was obviously a large decrease from what we had in 2019. 2019, just to give you an idea, was our third best year we had ever had as far as attendance went. And so we went from that to the lowest year we ever had, which is not really a surprise with everything that was going on in the world. And so through August 2021, we've already surpassed our full 2020 paid attendance numbers, and we're doing quite well and on track with 2019 again. And as I've seen around different data around in our area of the state, plus with the northeastern and northwest portion of Minnesota, they're the ones that tend to be seeing a very good recovery after COVID, and that's what we're seeing with a lot of our attendance numbers. And comparing to other attractions in the area, they're seeing similar things. So we're very happy to have that back and be trending in that direction. And lastly, the way we do our mission is through our collections. So we have over 15,000 artifacts in our collection and over 700 oral histories from veterans. So that is an amazing amount of information that we have at our disposal to create programs, new exhibits, and public programming that we can do from that. So how have we adapted in the COVID, soon to be hopefully post-COVID world? One of that is in our education offerings. Before, we relied really on school tours and for students and educators to come to our site and take part in a tour, learn about us firsthand. Well, with some of the restrictions with some of the school districts that they have in place, we can't do that. So we had to find other ways to do that. So we've actually worked to increase virtual offerings. So we have virtual tour options that we can offer through schools on Rosie the Riveter, on our tank, on the P-38, so that people can learn from their classroom about what we have at the Bong Center and about our veterans in the Northland. And we've continued to work with educators to find different experiences that they can utilize to make that work. We also had the opportunity during COVID to adjust our gift store operations. This was a massive, massive change for us. We rearranged the entire area itself and actually improved distancing around it, and we've seen quite a good return on that. Folks have said they've been able to see product better, and we've actually seen an increase in our gift shop sales, which has been really great. And we've made a more robust online store like many other businesses, and we've seen a huge uptick in that as well, getting orders from all over the country for items that we have. So that's been real great, and it's been a positive change for us coming out of COVID. Moving to virtual events, we have our annual auction fundraiser each year, and last year we had to take it from a completely in-person sit-down event, who I know some of you have been at, and change it into a fully virtual event on the fly, and we did it very well. And we've learned a lot from that, and actually have had to use what we've learned from last year to do that for this year's event as well. So for those of you looking for something to do on November 4th at 7 o'clock, there will be an opportunity for you to participate in our event that evening as well. And then also with oral histories, as I mentioned, we collect the stories of our veterans and keep those reserved and to tell the story of veterans across the Northland. We had to find new ways to start collecting those. We had some veterans that weren't comfortable with coming out and coming to the center to tell their story, so we found ways to do it via Zoom. We've collected quite a few via Zoom already, and we also created a backpack that families can check out, take home to their veteran, and it has all the equipment they need. It has a recorder, sample questions, everything like that they can take, record the oral history for us, and bring it back in. So that's been ways that we've tried to adapt with this COVID economy and tried to keep the center out in front with folks and continue doing our mission. One of the biggest things we've done over the last few years is work to really engage youth in what we're doing at the Bong Center. So we have two distinct programs that we use to do that. The first you see up here is the Junior Curator Program. So what this does is it takes middle school students and brings them into the center for 1 week. And in that week, they learn how to do an oral history, they conduct an oral history with a veteran, and then they create an exhibit on that veteran, and then they have to present that publicly, all in 1 week. And so this year we had 9 weeks of that program. This is, I believe, the third year we've done that, and we had some great exhibits coming out of that, including one on Mayor Payne. He participated this year as well, so that was great. But it's amazing this year compared to past years where we have seen veterans really take to heart this process and have come up and talked to the students directly afterwards and complimented them so much on the work that they did. We've had veterans very much moved by the exhibit that was created on them. And again, for some of these veterans, it was the first time they had ever told their story. And so that really connects with us, and it helps get youth involved in supporting veterans and in museum work. Has been a great partnership for us. Our other program is our Bong Squad program. So this is for high school students. And the idea is we want to get students from the junior curator program to graduate up to the Bong Squad program. And what this does is it actually gives them a summer job as being a tour guide and giving our heavy metal tours to folks that come in. So our heavy metal tours focus on the M60 tank outside and the P38 also in relation to Major Bong's second military campaign that he went out in the South Pacific on. And so it brings those students in. They learn what it's like to have a part-time job. They also learn how to do a lot of public speaking. We've seen quite a few students come out of this where they felt more confident by the end of their summer term with public speaking and just giving them some great skills. And we've got a great group of kids that also will help out with just about anything we have going on. You know, if we get a large shipment for our gift shop, they dive right in and help out. If there's somebody that is looking for tourist information and the Travel Superior staff are busy with another customer, they'll jump right in and help out with figuring out, what they're looking for. So it's been a great partnership with that, and has really engaged the youth in what we are doing at the Bong Center. We also have a big component of supporting veterans. For us, we look at it as without veterans, we can't do what we do. So we have to give back to that community any way that we can and every chance that we get to. So one of those ways is we take veterans for free for a week out in the Boundary Waters. This is all raised through private fundraising, and this is one of the trips from this year. So they go out for a week, no cost to them to go out, and they get a week to relax. And a lot of the veterans that we focus on with this trip are those that are dealing with some sort of PTSD or other military-related trauma, and it just gets them out to relax and get away from life. And we've had amazing success with this. We've had a lot of veterans that come back and thank us over and over again for doing this and help us actually promote to get other veterans to go on it. And we get veterans from all over Wisconsin and Minnesota that participate in that. And again, we've seen some folks that it's really made a large impact on. Our current group leader actually went on the very first trip, and he said it was such a game changer for him that he wanted to come back, and he's been on every trip since as either the assistant leader or the leader, because he wanted to help other veterans like him get through it. In November, we usually have our Thanksgiving meal for veterans. Last year, obviously, with the pandemic, we had to adapt that and do a curbside or delivery offering, and we served over 200 meals last year to veterans at no cost to them. One veteran actually had contacted us. They had just gotten out of the hospital. They were fully disabled. They had no plans for Thanksgiving, and the day before they found out about our offering, they called us and we said, yes, we can deliver the meal to them. They actually broke down in tears when the person brought them the meal because they expected to spend Thanksgiving by themselves and have nothing. So this is the kind of impact we're trying to make on veterans that give back to us so much. And some of the other things we do during the holidays is we have a gift drive for the Veterans Home up in Silver Bay, where we get items donated and we take it to them so to help out the residents there. And then also last year we distributed MREs, so meals ready to eat, to veterans that have issues with food scarcity, just something that they need to have a meal. And we distributed over 1,400 meals last year that way. So those are some of the things we do to give back to veterans, again, so that they give so much to us that we have to find a way to give back to them as well, because we rely on them and their stories to exist as an organization. We're also a big partner in tourism. We participate in the Lake Superior Ice Festival. I will say I am extremely proud of that ice sculpture from last year. If you can't tell, it was a replica of our D-Day Paratrooper exhibit. It turned out amazingly well, and it was really a highlight to be able to see that out there. So we enjoy participating in the Ice Festival and being part of that planning. We try every year to find a different way to up our game with the ice sculpture and try to find something different that will attract folks around. And then also a couple weeks ago we had the museum crawl in town, where all museums in the community participated together of an opportunity to get folks going around and seeing what great opportunities these museums in our community have. The results weren't quite what we wanted, but, it's first year trying to get it built up. So we are working to try and enhance the tourism economy here and be partners in that process with Travel Superior and others in the community. Just this year alone, we've distributed over 10,000 of our brochures across the state of Wisconsin and Minnesota into areas that we had not been in before, and having amazing response with tours coming up. We're seeing a lot of folks from the Milwaukee area, Twin Cities area, and even beyond that are coming up to the area and partaking in what the Bong Center has to offer and other attractions. So that's been a big part of what we've been trying to work towards and get folks moving around in the area. And then looking to the future, what does it look like for the Bong Center? So next year we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary of being open, of having the Bong Center built, open, and ready to go. So it's September 24th next year. So with that, it comes, we're at this point, what is the next steps going forward? And so a lot of what we would like to do, we've built up programming quite well in the last few years. We want to continue building that and find other ways to involve people, maybe a little bit more family programming if we can, other ways that we can connect students with veterans so that way they can learn from a veteran what that experience was like. And then also another big part of what we are looking at is the need for facility upgrades. Again, the building's 20 years old. You're getting to that point, if you own a home, about year 20, 25, 30, you're starting to see big ticket items come out. We're in the same position with that. We're seeing, HVAC upgrades are going to be needed, sidewalk upgrades for accessibility, different cosmetic things that need to be done. And so that's going to be a bigger focus of these next few years going forward, is how do we pull all that together to keep the building standing and keep it open and safe for visitors to continue to come through and just be part of this great community here in Superior and be that partner in tourism that we need to be and have always strived to be. So with that, I'd be open to any questions that counselors have or, any feedback that anyone has.
Counselor Bender.
Well, Dustin, I don't have a question, but I do have some feedback. First of all, great presentation. Thank you for this. And you may have seen, and you may not have seen, my Auntie Dolly Harris. She is, kind of in the Rosie Riveter area there, and she lived in Silver Bay, and she worked at the shipyards during World War II, and then she lived in Silver Bay. In fact, we were just up there recently for her celebration of life. But she was one. And then also her husband, Jim Harris, and I haven't been able to get the information yet, but I have all of it. I have his Navy uniform in my garage. And so I'm going to bring that in someday too. And he was a ship's clerk, or a store clerk. So as soon as I get his bio written up about that, I will bring that in, and those will be very well received. And the other thing is, of course, when you go through that, you see Rod Campbell was a hero. Rod Campbell was a hero. Rod Campbell never would talk about being a hero. And and I've taken students there many times through Upward Bound and that, but there are so many great things there. It's just it's so fun to go through everything there. And also, my dad and my two uncles were in World War II. And we don't have a brick yet, but we're going to have a brick as soon as I can get my my cousins to come up with some money. But thank you. Great presentation. I really, really enjoyed it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Sweeney.
Thank you. Could you give us a little background of, I know that Bong, Richard I. Bong was an ace of aces, but he grew up in Poplar, Wisconsin, and at one time the plane was in Poplar, Wisconsin. So can you just give us, those people from Poplar really started this tribute to him. So can you give us a little background of that, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So in Poplar, of course, they had the airplane there on pillars outside the school, and that was started in 1955? Correct? Okay. So 1955 is when the Memorial Foundation began, and they had that tribute to Major Bong there, and as the plane, just through Wisconsin weather and things like that it started to deteriorate, is when the discussion came to, we need to get this enclosed and get it somewhere safe, and that was where the discussion was had to have the Bong Center built in Superior and brought here. So yeah, it started in Poplar and then eventually came to Superior, where he was born here but grew up obviously in Poplar.
Counselor Elm.
Yeah, Dustin, thanks for coming here. Great presentation, as mentioned by others. And this is, again, just a continuation of Councilor Van Sickle and myself this year. We're inviting folks in the community to engage and learn. So I appreciate that. You guys have an amazing asset there. We're proud that you're here in Superior. And I'm proud of the ability you guys had to adapt in the COVID time, too. So just thanks for coming and well done. All right?
Thank you.
Further questions? Mr. Heckman, I just want to express my own appreciation as well. As you mentioned, I had the opportunity to work directly with the Junior Curator Program. I've been impressed for a few years on the museum as a whole. I think that it's really doing outstanding work and improving almost every year, but there are a few things I'm more proud of at that museum than that Junior Curator Program. To invest young people in the history of their community, I think builds a much stronger and lifelong relationship, not only to where they live now, but to their own past. And I know I said it at the time, but if you could once again forward my thanks to the young men that did my exhibit, they were particularly outstanding historians.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here.